You were reborn together with your wife? In your previous life, your wife was a world-famous goddess adored by 8 billion men. And you were just a house husband supporting her from behind the scenes, quietly devoted at home. Every time she came home, she was extremely cold to you. In 7 years of marriage, she never let you touch her. Remember, you two. Stop right there. Behind you. The angry voice behind them faded more and more into the distance. But neither of them showed any sign of stopping. In fact, they sped up even more. Are you kidding? You don't even know who we are. Who's our homeroom teacher? Why wouldn't we run? Should we just stand there and wait for you to catch us like fools? A bright, clear moon hung high in the sky. Brilliant starlight scattered across Shashu's shoulders. It looked as if he was draped in a magical river of stars. His eyes were bright, sparkling with life. He didn't care about the shadows cast by the tall trees on both sides. Even though it was dark all around, he didn't feel scared at all. Even with his breath coming in gasps, the smile at the corner of his mouth was more radiant and charming than ever. At first he was running alone, but now his small hand was tightly wrapped in a pair of warm big hands. You held on to him tightly, like a princess on the run, meeting the tall knight who cleared a path for her. Slow down. I can't keep up. He panted for breath. All right, let's circle around and get you back to your dorm. The two of them started slowing down. After tracing a wide loop, they returned to the girls' dorm as if nothing had happened. They managed to shake off the dean, leaving him sulking alone in the woods. Shashu was very happy. But when he saw you continue to take out the rest of that big bottle of yogurt from your pocket, he wasn't happy anymore. Smile? Not at all. He just stared at you as you drank, his eyes puffed with anger, not blinking at all. Because he got scared during the run and threw his bottle in the trash can for fear of being caught. Just to be faster. Although honestly, it didn't help at all. There was still a little bit left, wasn't there? You tore open the lid, licked your rosy lips, showing a look of heartbreak. Why are you looking at me? What, do you want some too? Don't tell me you don't have any. Ooh! Shashu turned his head away in anger. I don't even like it. Oh, is that so? All right then, I'll have another one. You spoke as if performing a magic trick, pulling out another bottle from your pocket. Shashi's eyes went wide. You shook it in your hand, feeling its icy chill against your palm. With a little laugh, I told you I'd drink 2 bottles myself. Your bottle is right here. You just didn't believe me. I wanted to drink mine instead. Crunch, crunch. Shashu's little silver teeth clacked together. His tiny mouth opened as wide as it could. He glared at you fiercely, like he was about to turn into a killer shark any second. Ready for the kill. How dare you mess with him? This is outrageous. He just had to make you pay the price. Only then would you understand who really rules this house. 2 minutes later, all right, I'm heading out. Yeah, be careful on your way back. Shashu took a small sip, sipping the chili yogurt through his straw, and obediently nodded, waving his little hand as you left. By the time you got back to your rented room off campus, it was already almost 11 o'clock, and that was after you pedaled your bike nearly to the point of smoking. That's how you managed to get back. Otherwise, it would have been even later. You opened your backpack, checked your homework, made sure you could do it, then just tossed it aside and went to sleep. The next day, a lazy reading aloud sound came from the classroom, as if people still weren't awake. Suddenly, it seemed noisy outside the classroom door. You looked up, a little puzzled. Amid the anxious voices, it sounded like someone was calling your name. Lao Chan, Lao Chan. Fu Shaogang rushed into the classroom as if he had just won the lottery. The moment he saw you, his eyes lit up. He grabbed you and pulled you outside, looking like he couldn't wait another second. What are you doing? You frowned, a puzzled look on your face. Soon you figured out what was going on. In the corridor to the right of the class doorway, a tall girl, slender and graceful, was standing there quietly. Her eyes were like a cold, ripple-free pond, cool and untouched by the world. Long, jet-black hair cascaded over her shoulders, like a snow lotus on a high mountain standing alone, blooming proudly. Besides being stunned by her striking charisma, most people couldn't help but notice the breakfast she had carefully prepared in her hands. That's Ling Qing'an. Why is she here in our class? It's normal for Xiao Xiu to pass by here. But is she just passing by too? What the hell, is there any justice left in this world? Stay out of pretty girl's business. Can't you see she's dropping off breakfast? No way, really. Doesn't she usually eat alone? Just then, Fu Xiaodong had already dragged you out. Even though you already guessed what was happening, seeing Ling Qing'an approach for real, handing you the breakfast with both hands, and offering it to you, you still put on a surprised face. This is to thank you for your help yesterday. I didn't know what you like to eat, but I hope you like this. She breathed a little nervously, and a trace of tension flickered in her pretty calm eyes. Her words came out in a jumble. If nobody here was an idiot and kind of knew what happened, no one would really catch what she was trying to say. You just smiled and waved it off. No worries, we're all classmates here. Anyone else would have done the same. I just happened to be able to help out. You don't like it? Her fingertips trembled a little, making the breakfast bag in her hand droop. A gloom fell in her eyes. No, actually I already ate. You twitched your mouth and felt the air around you turning murderous. Your scalp tingled. So you hurried to explain. Okay, I got it. But even as you said that, your brain just shut down, and you didn't know what to do. You just stood there like before, frozen in place like a puppet, easy to be moved around. You took a deep breath, grabbed her and rushed downstairs, running toward the garden behind the teaching building. Meanwhile, at Class 5's door, everyone watched as you disappeared, their faces showing disappointment. The fun was over before it even started. It was already gone. Dude, that wasn't cool at all. As the pure and innocent school beauty and the cold goddess, both equally famous, disappeared, she actually came to deliver breakfast to a boy herself. Just thinking about it is enough to break your heart. It really feels like walking on broken glass. While everyone is feeling heartbroken, they can't help but think of that guy again, who seems to have been getting close to Zhao Shiyu lately. The frustration on their faces grew even stronger. Isn't this guy just a bit taller than me? A bit better than me? And a bit more handsome? Why does he deserve all this? Forget it, let's just go. There's nothing left to see. Why are we still standing around? Fu Xiaogong left disappointed, ready to return to the classroom. He hesitated for a moment, but then glanced over and noticed someone walking up slowly from downstairs. A beautiful girl with airy bangs and a high jet black ponytail. Pure and charming. He froze in surprise. Is this some kind of joke? Did you plan to arrive together? And what's that she's holding in her hand? Hey, what are you carrying? Hi, it's Chen Luo here. I brought him breakfast. With a gentle smile on her face, her fair lips slightly curved, with subtle dimples, making everyone feel refreshed and at ease, as if all the gloom in their hearts was swept away. But as soon as she said those words, everyone felt thunderstruck. Their hearts immediately turned cloudy, like a dreary, endless rain. Their moods grew even worse. Meanwhile, on the other side, you couldn't refuse her kindness, and wanted Ling Qing'an to feel less guilty, to ease her sense of guilt. So you had to eat the breakfast she brought. Does it taste good? I didn't have time, or I would have cooked for you myself. It's fine, you can try it yourself and see. The garden is full of life. Crisp birdsong comes from the branches. A boy and a girl sit on the bench by the small garden, placing the breakfast in the middle. Inside are 4 baozi, 4 steamed dumplings, 4 shumai, 2 fried dough sticks, a cup of soy milk, and a cup of 8 treasure black rice porridge. No thanks, I already ate. Ling Qing'an shook her head slightly. You quietly glanced at her flat stomach and realized she was lying. That much food? Do you think I'm some kind of bottomless pit reborn as a food monster? Ah, no, not at all. I didn't. He waved his hands awkwardly, her willow brows tightly knit, breathing nervously, beginning to feel restless, as if she was quite embarrassed. Then eat with me. I can't finish all this myself. But, there's no but. Otherwise I'm not eating at all. You're insulting my character. You looked serious. Then, okay.
He picked up a soup dumpling and brought it to his mouth.
Glancing sideways to check that you weren't watching. Then took a careful bite, relieved. Chewing gently, being very cautious. Unaware that you had already noticed everything, including her slightly shy, cool expression. You couldn't help but smile slightly. Having everything under your control. Breakfast ended perfectly with both of you working together, though you ate most of it yourself, carrying the leftover half cup of soy milk up the stairs. You felt completely content. Not sure if Ling Qing'an wanted to save money or just wasn't hungry, so she didn't buy herself any. But that's fine, thanks to your wit. You made sure this silly girl didn't go hungry. Hey, Gangzi, are you waiting for me? Honestly, man, I was touched. You were in a great mood, humming a tune, seeing Fu Shaogang standing in the hallway. But his expression looked a bit odd, like he's constipated or something. His face looked really uncomfortable. You didn't think much of it, just saw him glaring at you over and over, and blinking his eyes. You started walking quicker. More of the hallway came into your view. You found it funny, and laughed, asking, "What's up? Got a lazy eye or something?" You were about to pat Fu Shaogang on the shoulder, when you saw from the blind spot of the stairs, a stunning, graceful figure finally appear. Instantly, your smile froze on your face. Xiao Xiu just stood there quietly, looking at you. You noticed, Xiaogan was holding a delicate shopping bag. You recognized instantly. It was from your favorite bakery. The cakes and desserts there are always freshly made, hot from the oven, and taste so much better than the prepackaged ones at the supermarket. Like, it's not even close. And the main thing is, that bakery is a distance from the school. She lives in the dorm, so you have no idea how she got it in. You didn't dare say anything, even though now, you and Zhao Xiu have no official connection anymore. For some reason, you still felt your heart being squeezed, as if reliving a past life, when she used to pull your ear and make you sit down, and endlessly lecture you. That pressure was intense. Seriously, Zhao Xiu's gaze didn't stay on you for more than a second, instead focusing on the soy milk. She handed the small bag over with a blank expression. You didn't know whether to take it or not, completely frozen, like a wooden statue. So you let her stand on tiptoe and hang the bag around your neck. It looked pretty funny, honestly. By the way, about the soy milk, you don't even like this piping hot milk at all. She talked to herself and reached into the bag. You felt a wave of warmth on your face as you looked at her up close, expressionless, with the vibe of not caring at all. A faint gardenia fragrance lingered under your nose. You couldn't help but say earnestly, "Actually, I really do like milk. This brand is my favorite. It's my last bit of pride." "Shut up, you don't like it." Zhao Xiu glared fiercely at you and snapped. You didn't dare say another word. Your pride shattered and scattered everywhere. She left a breakfast box behind, snatched the milk out of your hand, yanking it away viciously, like she was about to wring you dry, then briskly walked away, without saying a word, leaving you standing there, completely confused, with a fancy bag of breakfast still hanging from your neck, kept watching disappearing fish's figure vanish into the distance. Luo, remember to manage your time. Hijun, who watched the whole thing, let out a faint sigh. What can I even do? Damn, my eyes are almost shooting sparks. He said I was cross-eyed. Fu Shaogang was extremely frustrated. He felt so wronged. Around the corner, disappearing fish caught a glimpse of someone still standing dumbly in the distance. After seeing his figure, the unease in her heart finally faded away. The corners of her delicate lips curled up slightly. Hey, time for the last evening self-study. The head teacher asked the class monitor to hand out the seat cards. Getting ready for tomorrow's exam. Once Mr. Feng left the room, the classroom became noisy again. The class monitor Qian Shais walked onto the podium. He started arranging the test seats. He split up all the desks in the 2 side columns, and also those in the 4 rows in the middle, leaving small aisles between them. Next was sticking the candidate seat numbers. My seat obviously belongs to a guy.
Hijun grumbled to himself.
He scratched his fingernail on the little piece of paper. Fu Shaoduan glanced over at the blatant boy's name on his own seat. He also curled his lips, but still put on a look of having seen through it all. Trying to make him feel bad, huh? As if being a girl's seat would actually mean anything. Evening self-study class dismissed. What a coincidence, Chen Luo. Fu Xiaogong saw her as soon as he walked out the door. Right on time, she was at the classroom entrance. A sweet dimple appeared on her face in the hallway. The pure and graceful Xiao Shiyu stood tall and elegant. She raised her small hand and waved. Her jade-like skin had a rosy glow. Standing under the lights, her skin seemed to almost reflect the light. Coincidence? I don't think it's a coincidence at all. She secretly complained in her heart. Then, holding back tears, she watched as Chen Luo, who had always walked with her, walked down the stairs side by side with Xiao Shiyu. She felt like she was just an unloved, forgotten, lonely old lady. Which exam room are you in? Xiao Shiyu tilted her head slightly and asked curiously. 17. You answered without hesitation. Hearing that, Xiao Shiyu's face revealed a hint of surprise. There are only 18 exam rooms in total. That honestly means you're near the bottom. Actually, you could have been bolder and just dropped the near. I guess. Maybe you just didn't do well last time. A gentle smile formed on Xiao Shiyu's lips. She'd already thought up an excuse for you. Hearing that, the two sneaking behind them planning to eavesdrop on their conversation suddenly stumbled in surprise, almost tumbling down the stairs. What the hell, old Chen's always at the bottom of the class like us. How is that not performing well? Talk about favoritism. That's just too much. Fu Xiaogong lowered his voice, silently raging. He was furious. He wanted to protest. We're all in the same boat here. So why do you get different treatment? Calm down, calm down. Love is blind, you know. It's normal. Hijun took a deep breath, but judging from his heaving chest, his real feelings were nothing like how calm he appeared. It's not that bad. Last time was a rough patch. I was in a bad mood, so I couldn't focus on the test. You felt zero pressure and replied without hesitation. See, I told you. This time you better do well. So next time we can go to the same exam room together. Xiao Shiyu clenched her little fist and cheered you on. Her expression didn't seem fake at all. She was serious as could be. The two behind widened their eyes, exchanged glances, and were just totally dumbfounded. So shameless. Both cursed out loud at the same time. Our math teacher helped arrange the test this time.
He said all the subjects will be pretty hard this time.
The goal is to check students' academic progress and crush some of that arrogance that's been building up among students lately, so everyone can realize their shortcomings and settle down to study. At that, disappearing fish stopped walking. Her bright eyes focused seriously on you. So even if you do poorly this time, don't worry about it. Why? Because I'll help you make it up. She patted herself. The flawless, pure smile on the girl's face was brighter and more beautiful than the moon above, like a pure white orchid blooming. One smile lights up the city. Another smile captivates the nation. All right, you were a little surprised, then nodded, agreed to it, and smiled along with her. The two of them were laughing happily, but the two following behind were left in total silence. Tears welled up at the corners of their eyes, showing just how deeply they longed to hear those words. That night, the two returned to their dorm, tossing and turning, unable to fall asleep. After waking up in the middle of the night, one sat there blankly on the bed. The same damn thought kept running through his mind. Why the hell did we have to go eavesdrop? And, old Chun, what makes you so special? The next morning after self-study, the sound of desks and chairs scraping on the floor filled the room. Lots of people turned their desks over again, getting ready to go straight to the exam room after breakfast. No need to come back to class. Once you were ready, you also headed to the exam hall. You'd already had breakfast. At that moment, Hijun, who'd been silent all morning, with dark circles under his eyes, suddenly turned and looked at Fu Shigang behind him. Genzi, you weren't in a slump, right? Of course not, Z. But if I do badly, You have to help me make it up. The two of them exchanged sinister grins, their tone full of wicked, odd energy. Paired with those heavy dark circles, they looked just like a cult. That immediately made you just about to stand up, go stone silent. Your hand paused in midair. No idea what these two weirdos were up to. Yo, old Chun. Neither of us ever has a bad patch. How about you? Of course not. The three made eye contact and burst out laughing. They all understood each other without words. Tong Sijiao, sucking on a lollipop, happened to walk by. She didn't stop. Her look at the three was as if seeing two idiots, staring at them for quite a while. Then shaking her head, she muttered, "Increase the dose," and kept watching. Hijun instantly flew into a rage. "Just you wait. Loli, I'll crush you." Fu Xiaogang patted him on the shoulder, reminding him, "Z, your voice was too soft." He probably didn't hear you. You think I needed that reminder? Of course I know he didn't hear. Just then, from the front door of the classroom, a delicate girl wearing black-rimmed glasses suddenly walked in, her bookish aura overflowing.
He was holding a Chinese language textbook in his arms.
After stepping into the threshold, he kept his head down and started glancing around. "Get up." His arrival instantly attracted the attention of many people, because everyone in this class could tell. This high-scoring girl with an air of scholarship definitely didn't belong to this class, so she must be a genius from another class. He kept his head lowered. His delicate and attractive face was hidden under his thick bangs, as if he hadn't noticed everyone's gaze. He kept checking the seat numbers on the desks. Finally, he followed the aisle all the way to your seat, raised his black-rimmed glasses, locked his beautiful almond-shaped eyes on you. A bit embarrassed, he asked politely, "Excuse me, when will you leave?" The visitor's identity was obvious. It matched the name on your seat. Tong Jai, you glanced at the name on the seat. Just as you were about to speak, a soft voice called out from the doorway. "Chan Luo, hurry up and go eat breakfast." Another gorgeous girl with a pure and striking appearance appeared. She was leaning against the edge of the classroom wall by the door, only a small head peeking out, her beautiful eyes blinking. She reached out and waved her little hand inside. Inside, the gentle aura of a girl hugging textbooks. The girl stood in front of your seat, looking down at you. The scene of peaceful times and harmonious interaction unfolded, vanished from sight. The smile on her little face slowly made the pretty dimples fade away. Her big eyes kept getting bigger and rounder. Her cute and perky nose wrinkled up. Suddenly, she punched the classroom door with a little fist. A muffled thud sounded. The pain from her palm made her feel even more wronged inside. A twitch at the corner of her eye stung. She had waited for him almost all morning. And what did he do? He was chatting with another girl inside the classroom. This is just too much. Chan Luo, you better remember this. I'm Zhao Xiu. I'm not someone you can mess with. I'm never coming to see you again. Disappeared, puffed up like a swollen pufferfish, angrily floated away with the crowd. Tang Jiang withdrew her gaze from the doorway. A look of surprise appeared in her eyes. She pushed up her oversized black-rimmed glasses again. Huge black-rimmed glasses. As a top student aiming for the next placement test, to break into the elite class, she naturally knew all the school's top talents, campus celebrities. And among those with good looks, sweet voices, and excellent grades, the one who just left was certainly the focus of her attention. After all, she has long dominated the school's top talent charts. Top 10 on the honor roll. Aside from those two top sanctuaries in the country, pretty much any of the elite sects others dream of are at her disposal. She's truly a gifted child. The only thing that puzzled her was Zhou Xiu, who is a direct student from the elite class. Why would she come here? And apparently, she even knows the boy sitting at my test seat. And from the looks of it, they seem to be pretty close. Sorry, did I misunderstand something? I didn't mean to. Tang Jiang is not the type who gets dumb from studying. Although her personality is gentle, she's actually extremely sharp-minded. You stood up and gave up your seat, looking helpless. It's fine. It has nothing to do with you. He's just got a few screws loose. Like dried fish, left out for a few days. Once all the water in his brain dries up, he'll be fine. Tong Jiang tried to widen her eyes. A surprised sound came out of her mouth. Huh? The first exam is the Chinese language. This subject is pretty equal for everyone. But it's nothing for you. There are still 40 minutes left before the test ends. You already finished. You feel staying in the test room is boring. Might as well go outside and play on your phone. So you raised your hand. Teacher, I want to hand in my paper early. Your voice wasn't loud, but in the silent test room, it was loud and clear. Incredibly clear. Many students who were still buried in their work and solving problems with their heads down looked up in shock. Damn, there are still 40 minutes left. Did this guy skip the essay? That's nuts. The quiet proctor was a teacher wearing glasses. The calm and serious middle-aged teacher heard the sound of a paper being turned in. His brow furrowed even deeper. He thought so at first too, thinking you hadn't finished all the questions. But if a student insisted on handing it in, he couldn't say much about it. He just gestured for you to hand over the exam, and then you could leave. The exam continued. There were still 40 minutes left. After speaking, he finally frowned and looked at the exam paper in front of him. Chan Luo, Class 5, 10th grade. He shook his head. As expected of a student from a regular class. Far too overconfident. If these remaining 40 minutes were in the college entrance exam, even improving by a single point could mean crushing tens of thousands of people. He gradually read on, and a look of surprise began to surface in his eyes. This question is correct, and this one is correct too. This reading comprehension is done quite beautifully. There aren't any major issues with the classical Chinese translation either. The more he read, the more the astonishment grew in his heart. The expression on his face changed from the initial disdain to shock and anticipation. He flipped the exam paper over. When he saw those neat characters arranged in front of him as orderly as Zheng Kai's handwriting, instantly, Wang Ziru felt as if it were midsummer, and he had fallen into an ice cellar. His whole being felt refreshed, like a breath of spring air, incredibly crisp and clean. His mood instantly became pleasant. Elegant, simply too elegant. He was so excited his palms were trembling, his whole body filled with agitation. Who would understand? As a Chinese teacher, to witness such a beautiful exam paper with one's own eyes, the birth of a model essay. Is there anything more satisfying or fulfilling than this? At this moment, he even felt a bit envious of the Chinese teacher of Class 5. Grading an essay like this is absolutely better than grading chicken scratch handwriting. 1,000 times more mentally pleasing. No, far more than 10,000 times. He took a deep breath, and then, with an expectant and excited heart, he began to savor this delicious feast. This exam featured a semi-open essay prompt, using my as the topic. So this student's essay title was My Education. My bureau director father. In an instant, Wang Ziru's pupils dilated. A sense of genuine appreciation, without any concealment, surfaced on his cheeks. Brilliant. This title is simply brilliant. While other students are still focused on my future, or a certain day of mine with abstract prompts, this student took a completely different path, choosing to concretize the exam topic. Not bad at all. If I were grading this, it would definitely get a high score. This student is a great talent. Elegant, truly too elegant. The second subject was math. After you entered the exam room, you found that the proctor had already arrived. And for some reason, you always felt that his gaze seemed to drift toward you from time to time. Soon the exam bell rang, and all the students started writing at once, racing against time to calculate the problems. Those who were slightly stronger already began confidently filling in letters on the answer sheet. What's even more ridiculous is this student. What are you doing? How can you just start filling in the answer sheet already? The proctor's words instantly shocked everyone present. Many people who had just finished the first question looked up with confused faces, turning toward the podium, and then following the proctor's line of sight. They focused on the window seat at the far left of the first row. Teacher, I've finished the multiple choice questions. I'm filling it in now so I don't forget later. You looked up and spoke seriously. Finished? Wang Ziru's expression went blank, a sense of daze rising in his heart. He subconsciously looked at the watch on his wrist. That's right, he hadn't traveled through time. It was 3:01 p.m. Similarly, in exam room 17, there were many students from class 5. When they saw it was you, immense doubt surged in their hearts. As bottom-tier students themselves, they all had some impression of one another. They also remembered that your grades basically hovered at the very bottom. How could it be possible in such a short time to finish the multiple choice questions in seconds? That's right, he definitely couldn't do them at all. He just picked random answers, just like they do with English reading comprehension. From confusion to understanding, everything suddenly made sense in everyone's minds. A sudden realization. An hour and a half later, Wang Ziru looked at the math paper before him, which was filled to the brim with writing. Then he looked at the empty seat not far away, and his whole body went numb. And at this moment, you were already sitting under a tree playing with your phone. Which class are you from? Everyone else is taking the exam, and you're actually here playing on your phone. Silently, from not far behind, a harsh and cold voice of reprimand rang out. A figure with a grim, dark face was rushing over with long strides and hands behind his back. Before seeing the person, in your mind, the image of Judge Luo had already emerged. That iconic, sinister, and ghostly face. You stood up, but you weren't flustered at all. A look of confusion appeared on your face. Ah, what? Dean of students? Where is there a phone? You tilted your head and looked around, opening your palms as you spoke, total confusion written all over your face. Judge Luo gave a cold chuckle. His sharp eyes had never been wrong. Except, of course, for last night, when a couple holding hands managed to run away. That was the absolute shame in his lifelong 100% victory record. What's most hateful is that, when he went to check the surveillance afterward, he actually found that the cameras in that vicinity had developed problems for some mysterious reason. The surveillance footage was just a pitch-black mess. Nothing could be seen. Instead, there was only the sound of him panting, and his desperate shouts echoing one after another. He would never forget the way everyone in the surveillance room wanted to laugh, but didn't dare to. Filled with pent-up rage, he had intended to come to the small woods to relax. He hadn't expected to stumble upon a student, secretly playing on a phone. He instantly flew into a rage, followed by a cruel, cold laugh in his heart. Feeling that the dignity he had lost was finally being recovered a bit at this moment. He was still that bane of evil. Stop playing dumb with me. Hand over the phone immediately. Also, which class are you in? Wait to be criticized in a school-wide announcement after the exam. He had spoken such harsh words. If it were an average student, they would have been scared out of their wits by now, softly begging him not to make a public announcement, and then obediently handing over the phone with both hands. Avoiding disaster in such a way would highlight his great authority. As a result, the kid in front of him actually had an expression, like a dead pig that doesn't fear boiling water. Still over there shaking his head, pretending not to know anything. Doesn't admit any fault. Nor does he show any remorse. He outright pissed off Director Luo. Director Luo immediately started searching him up and down. He had made up his mind. Once he caught him with the evidence, he would definitely make a school-wide announcement and criticism. Give this kid a real lesson? But what he imagined was ideal. Reality turned out to be disappointing. A few minutes later, he watched as the teenager calmly walked away. Hands in his pockets, leaving leisurely. The director just stood there in the wind, completely confused and disorganized. What happened? Where's the phone? Such a big phone. Refusing to believe it, he directly squatted down. Ignoring his image, he started rummaging under the bench. He even grabbed up the grass with both hands. all just to find that key piece of evidence. But still, he found nothing, left only with a baffled expression, squatting on the spot, not knowing what to do. Until a soft, surprised female voice called out, "Director Luo, are you practicing frog jumps?" Meanwhile, Chan Luo had already walked some distance away. He grinned cheerfully, gently flipping his palm, and smartphone instantly appeared, lying safely in his hand. After Luo Pan and the official's actions, you lost the urge to sneak out again. Anyway, it's not urgent. After sitting in the exam room for about an hour, you started to feel a bit hungry. You went to the Oval Plaza surrounded by 3 teaching buildings. Oval Small Plaza. There are 3 small houses lined up outside. They are the school's convenience stores. You bought a few breads, jelly, and little desserts, and bought 2 bottles of Wahaha calcium. Then you carried the little bag, strolling and humming to yourself. Went up the stairs again, eating as you walked up to the 3rd floor. Then you leisurely walked down the long corridor, passed by the windows of Class 4, Class 3, and Class 2 along the way. Finally arrived at the door of Class 1. You said nothing, just stood at the window looking inside for a while. Finally found a familiar figure. Meanwhile, you also noticed Xiao Yu, who was pouting, eyes focused, holding a gel pen, fully absorbed in staring at the exam paper. What was troubling Xiao Yu? Was the last solid geometry problem? So far, she'd only solved the first sub-question. She got stuck on the key auxiliary line construction problem. It stumped her. Looks like she's been deep in thought for quite a while. Median line. Lost in thought, Xiao Yu heard a familiar voice. She furrowed her dark brows, then raised her head, looked around blankly. What's going on? Wasn't that Chen Luo's voice just now? Was she just too focused and started imagining things? But when her eyes passed by the window, her gaze suddenly froze. Her almond-shaped eyes widened slowly. Her mouth opened slightly. She was silently surprised. Wait, you're actually here. Then she saw you smiling and nodding at her, and lifted the little plastic bag in your hand, chewing something tasty as you did. It was Jacques Xiao. So she was sure she wasn't imagining things. But the voice was so clear earlier. Why did none of the other classmates around react at all? Were they just too focused to hear it? Looking at Xiao Yu in a dazed and silly state, you couldn't help but smile. You didn't remind anyone else? You believed with Xiao Yu's smart little head, she would definitely get it soon. Right now. Only 2 months since starting high school. The math knowledge in grade 10 isn't too hard yet. A few days is plenty for her to awaken her dormant memories. After all, she used to be a top student scoring over 600. Just the beginning math of grade 10 still isn't a challenge for her. Sure enough, not long after, Xiao Yu understood what those 2 letters meant. Drew a line. A flood of inspiration surged. She quickly started writing. Seeing her make progress, you relaxed, eating bread and snacks. Then noticed the invigilator sitting at the Class 1 podium had already cast a sharp, serious look over. Student, which exam room are you in? Why haven't you gone back yet? What are you doing outside? The invigilator's voice made quite a few students in the room look up. Xiao Xiu also noticed, gave you a nervous little look, but you weren't flustered at all. Watched as she walked toward you. You kept leaning against the corridor railing, calmly eating what was in your hand. Teacher, I finished my exam. You finished? The invigilator was stunned. Turned to glance at her own exam room, room 1. All the top students. Right now, there are still about 10 or 20 minutes left in the exam. This student actually claims she's done early. Did she really think she's better than the others inside? Obviously, that's impossible. So it could only be another reason. With that, the teacher looked more indifferent. Since you finished early, then leave now. Don't gather here and make noise. You'll disturb the students inside. You nodded. Okay, teacher. The invigilator was about to head back to the classroom, but saw you still lingering there. Her brows furrowed tightly. Why aren't you leaving yet? Teacher, I'm not gathering people. And I'm not making any noise. You pointed innocently to your side. The invigilator chuckled. A female student near the window couldn't help but burst out laughing, which immediately made the invigilator glare fiercely inside. Focus on your test. Is there too much time for you? Have you finished the last big question? And still have energy to think about other things? The classroom quieted down, went silent again immediately. She turned her head, looked helplessly at the young man before her, pointed at his arms. Teacher, the school doesn't ban eating supplemental food. I have low blood sugar. Easy to faint, so if you want it, I'll give it to you. The invigilator's face twitched. All right, eat. Just don't faint, and keep your eating noise down. If she said that, what else could he do? He could only curse his bad luck silently, unable to catch any real fault. He could only turn back and sit at the classroom podium again, giving a warning before leaving, just barely maintaining a teacher's authority. Forget it, there's barely any time left anyway. As long as this kid doesn't cause any trouble, just bear with it and it'll be over. He doesn't dare to gamble on whether the other person really has low blood sugar. These days, when students have problems, it's not a small matter. Sometimes it's better to avoid extra trouble. In the exam room, the cool and reserved figure sitting in another corner quietly withdrew their gaze. After the crisp sound of the exam bell rang, students started filing out of the exam room one after another. Xiaoxiu hurried over to you, right in front of the others, and without any hesitation, took out a small piece of bread from the bag. After tearing open the packaging, she began to take small bites, eating on her own. Her little face lit up as she ate, with an especially happy expression. At that moment, he finally asked, "How did you finish the test so quickly?" Originally, he felt the same as the proctor did. But after hearing that reminder, he instantly changed his mind. That midpoint line was absolutely the key insight. If you hadn't pointed it out, even if he could have thought of it himself, there's no way he could have finished before the exam ended. You chuckled softly. This test was easy, no pressure at all. In the nearby corridor, a boy with a buzz cut and glasses was just about to walk by, but couldn't help stopping in his tracks.
He looked up and gave you a scan.
How arrogant. This time the exam's final question was set personally by Mr. Zhao. Did you find the coordinates for sub-question 3? And you dare to talk big here? You slowly put down the calcium milk you were drinking and nodded calmly. Yeah, anyone can talk big. The other seemed quite unimpressed. Then, as if no one else was there, you stated the answer. The calcium milk in your mouth was already finished. But Xiaoxiu hadn't reacted at all. At that moment, her face was completely stunned, because she hadn't even touched the third sub-question. But now she was hearing Chen Luo explain a full solution in detail. She didn't know if it was correct, but the steps really sounded solid. For the toughest even-numbered final exam problem, and a thorough explanation at that. For a fellow high school student, this kind of shock is beyond words. It was nothing short of a collision between Mars and Earth. Truly amazing. Absolutely brilliant. Clap, clap, clap. At that moment, excited applause sounded from the back. Hearing this, everyone turned around and saw an elderly man with a bit of gray hair standing behind the students at that moment, with sparkling eyes. He was staring intently, fixated on your calm expression. As soon as the other students recognized him, they immediately acted as if their pillar of support had arrived, eagerly rushing forward to ask, Mr. Zhao, was his solution wrong? Is this really the answer? Faced with everyone's anxious questions, Zhao Yujin chuckled and answered them one by one. That's right, this is the answer. This student's approach to the problem is absolutely correct. As soon as he said this, the whole room was in an uproar. And after hearing it confirmed by the official question designer himself, the earlier skeptical student turned red and purple with embarrassment, feeling too ashamed to stay any longer. Taking advantage of the distraction, he quietly slipped away. While everyone was still in shock over Chen Luo's correct solution, Jia Yuzhen, as a core teacher at No. 1 high school, saw something even more impressive that made him appreciate Chen Luo's talent even more. Some people score full marks thanks to hard work, but others can get full marks because the test is only 150 points. In his view, to so easily and casually remember the entire solution just after doing the problem once, Chen Luo is definitely the latter type. "Young man, which class are you in?" he asked with a big smile, without any teacherly airs at all. He seemed just like a kind, gentle elder. "Sir, I'm in class 5, you replied modestly. Then you recalled that your homeroom teacher said there'd be an announcement after the exam, so you hurried away. Watching you leave, Zhao Yuzhen's eyes sparkled. "I'll go talk to Zhao Li about this." And that cool gaze kept following Chen Luo's figure until he disappeared from sight. In Ling Qing'an's indifferent eyes, a ripple appeared, and she gently pressed her lips together, looking like she wanted to say something but stopped. Her right eyelid lowered, then glanced at the little bag Xiaoxiu was holding. "That afternoon, after school, you didn't go to the cafeteria. Instead, you went straight home to nap. While you slept, you didn't notice that the phone under your pillow suddenly lit up, and a notification popped up. Someone with a cute anime girl avatar sent you a friend request. Chen Luo, can you guess who I am?" But all she got in return was your loud snoring. And then Xiaoxiu ended up with insomnia. Periods 3 and 4 in the morning were back-to-back math classes with the math teacher. Regarding this, all the dazed, spaced-out students felt, math is already tough enough. Why do we have to have back-to-back math? They seriously hated the teacher who scheduled the classes. With the math teacher, carrying a big pile of crisp white test papers, rushing anxiously into the classroom, those with blank minds and no motivation, looking like total slackers, finally managed to show a hint of excitement. Hijun in the back row saw the math teacher walk in and quickly nudged your elbow to remind him. But you acted like you didn't notice, still holding your phone and replying to messages. This made him furious, and he started poking you even harder. By now, the math teacher had already taken out the test papers, handed them to the student at the front edge of the first row, and had them start handing them out. Every time there was a high score, it sent a wave of commotion around the nearby seats.
Hijun was about to go nuts.
In his memory, you were always so cautious and careful. How could you be this bold even with the math teacher in the room? Even if class hasn't started yet, getting caught with your phone means you're doomed, class or not. You'd be totally done for. "Hijun, what are you doing?" As the math teacher, Li Guang's, threw a stern look your way, Hijun's heart instantly sank. And out of the corner of his eye, he saw you were still fiddling with your phone as if nothing was happening. His heart sank even more. "Sir, I'm fine." "If nothing's wrong, why are you bothering Chen Luo? Is this how you treat your desk mate?" The math teacher scolded him sternly. "Me? What did I do?" Hijun, who had been extremely nervous, almost didn't react in time. His eyes widened in shock. He was completely baffled. "Teacher, what's the point of your glasses? There's someone right next to me blatantly playing on their phone. Is it possible you can't see them?" Seeing Hijun stammer, the math teacher impatiently waved his hand. "All right, just don't bother Chen Luo anymore. Take a look at your own math score this time. Remember to learn well from your deskmate." Fu Xiaodao was left confused. He felt like he was watching a sci-fi movie. Can anyone explain what the heck is going on here? Is this still the strict and impartial math teacher he remembered? How come he understands every word, but when put together, it's like some mysterious script? Don't you get it? Let me say a few things. This time, our class's math scores were actually pretty good among the 18 classes in our grade. We even made it into the top 10. As the math teacher paced slowly, with both hands behind his back, he returned to the podium. The entire class lifted their heads to look. Then his expression suddenly became especially excited. Then, changing his tone. But no one should get discouraged by this. Even though our class's average in math hasn't reached the top tier among the regular classes, the top math score in the entire grade did come from our class. As soon as he said this, the once silent classroom instantly burst into excitement. Everyone was fired up and thrilled. At that moment, a few students who had gone to the restroom returned. The students didn't know what was happening. But after hearing what the math teacher said, Song Qingfeng, math class rep and study committee member, suddenly grew nervous and excited. He couldn't stop gulping nervously. That's right, he was the class's top scorer in the last monthly exam.
He was also the only one in the class in exam room 1.
The top student of class 5 competing with many top students. A true model student. If you had to ask who was most likely the student the teacher was referring to, undoubtedly, it would be him. No way, right? There's no way, right? I didn't even attempt the third part of the most difficult question. I guessed on the 12th math multiple choice question too. Did luck really smile on me? And let me guess correctly. Plus, that hard question was so tough this time. I couldn't solve it, so others probably couldn't either, right? It's the same for everyone. If I guessed the multiple choice correctly and didn't mess up on the other big questions, then being first in the whole grade. As this thought crossed his mind, his heart began to pound wildly. His face turned bright red. Seeing the reactions on his classmates' faces, the math teacher was extremely satisfied. Because when he started grading that paper, the shock on his face was just like that of the students now, maybe even stronger. Because grading papers is tough, especially when the papers are done really badly. But ever since he graded that one exam, he'd been in a great mood all day. In fact, carrying that test with pride, he walked through every office in the math department, just to show off in front of his colleagues, to really make a statement in front of everyone. That's when he ran into Mr. Zhao, the person who wrote the questions. And he even told him in detail what happened at the entrance of class 1, so all the doubts were completely cleared up before he came back. After that, his attitude toward you changed completely. He did a total 180. I'm sure you've all guessed by now. There's just one test paper I haven't handed back yet, and it's right here in my hand. As he spoke, he raised his hand, revealing on that test paper 3 glaring bright red numbers. 40, 40, 40. So impressive, it's scary.